All right, what's up guys? This is Seth from Dark Waters Fly Shop. Glad to be doing another video with you here in the fly shop. If you haven't been in here to check things out, you should definitely stop in. Super cool. Got a lot of cool things going on for the 2021 season. I thought I'd do a video for you today. We are a little slow in the shop today, so I figured I'd knock this out. I've been wanting to do this for the last month and I haven't been able to. This is gonna be my loadout for the 2021 Michigan Trout Opener. It's this Saturday, so when you watch this video, it might be later in the week or might be quite a ways in the future. Hopefully this material that I'm going to go over today is going to last kind of the course of time here. Things change up. We change up our techniques and tactics and different things. We get new gear and all that kind of stuff. But this is 2021. I did a video last year. I'll try to tag it up in the corner here. I did a video last year about the streamers that I use, my favorite streamers and why I use them. I'm going to touch on that a little bit when I talk about my streamer setup later on. Most of those streamers have stayed the same, but there's a couple new ones that I'm going to include you in on, so stick toward the end. Now, as I go over this is going to be my loadout for Trout Opener on Saturday, April 24th, 2021, and I've got 3 different rigs that I'm using. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's a lot of gear. Do you actually carry 3 rods with you when you're on the river? The answer is no. If I had 1 rod and rig to bring from this table, maybe I'll let you know what that is at the end of the video, but I'm going to be camping. We kind of make it a tradition. Trout opener for a lot of places in the UP, for us up here anyways, my group, it's kind of like deer camp. Like, we don't deer hunt. We like deer season because then everybody gets off the river and we have it all to ourselves and we can fish. However, trout opener is our deer season, so to speak. So we go out, we camp out in the woods, we get our tents. We're going to be going out in 4-wheelers this year. It's going to be kind of fun, getting off the grid a little bit. And so we're going to have a base camp. And from that base camp, we're going to have a number of access points to rivers. And so I will have the ability to bring a nymphing rod, a dry fly rod, and a streamer rod. Now, this early in the year, we had a really early melt off. I'm never thinking about using dry flies on opener in Michigan. Every once in a while you get some midges and blue-wing olives, but typically that's not something that's going to take place on trout opener. But because I have the room in my gear, I'm going to bring it, and I figured I'd let you guys know what I'm using right now for my dry flies and different things. Also, just a side note, I saw a post on a Michigan fly fishing page that there's actually Hendrickson's hatching right now downstate, which is absolutely absurd to me because we usually don't get those until the end of May, which it's awesome. So anyways, just to start out here, I've got 3 rigs. I've got a nymphing rig, a dry fly rig, and a streamer rig. The backpack that I'm going to carry some of my gear in is this Sims, I think it's the Dry Creek Z or something like that. But this is a backpack, it's waterproof. I carry that with me. So if I have a reel that I want to switch on a rod, I'll go over some of that. That's kind of where I carry it. And then I'm using the G4 jacket, which kind of operates as my vest and has all my stuff in it. So from the top right here, my nymph rod. I've been turned on to these rods. If you watch the last video that I did called The Adventure, we were hooking up with some huge browns on a Lake Superior tributaries, and Cortland actually sent me a rod, and it's actually become one of my favorite rods. It's a nymphing rod. It's their 10.5 foot. See if we can do that. Yeah, that's the 10.5 foot nymph rod. Comes in this really cool rod tube, and it is a really, really nice rod, and it's probably the lightest 10.5 foot nymphing rod that I've ever felt. This is a 4-weight. I steelhead fish with this. I've landed big browns with it. This is a killer rod, so make sure you check that out. I'm using an Ichthus. This is a risen fly, okay? Risen fly. That's their Ichthus reel in a 4-5 weight, and I've got Euroline on there with an indicator line, so there's multiple colored lines. I carry a pocket full of indicators just in case I get a drift that's too slow and long for me to tightline, so I'll use this in case I can't quite reach it tightlining. And then I also picked up this really sweet, you guys are going to think this is overkill, for my nymphs. This is the Umpqua HD box, and it's got like pages of areas that you can put your flies, which is really, really cool. I use it. So that's what I use there. I've obviously got my tippet holder that goes on my backpack, and I've got my fluorocarbon tippet on there for my nymphing rigs. So the cool thing about this rod is that if at any point I get to a place where I want to nymph, but the holes are far away from me and I need to get a huge roll cast, say with an indicator rig, any of you guys that Euro nymph know that you can't really roll cast with level line. It doesn't work. So I'm able to use the reel here. This is another Risen Fly reel. This thing's sweet. This is their LW reel right there. This is in the 5.6. And the line that I have on this reel is Cortland's long distance belly taper. This stuff is awesome. And I swear to you, with 2 flies, a split shot or 2, and an inch indicator, I can take this on this 10.5 foot rod with this long distance belly taper line, and I can roll cast this probably 50 feet, just simply boom, and it throws it out there. It is an awesome line rod combo. So this line has a really thick taper on the front section, and it's really cool when you use it with the Risen Fly ITB 8.5 foot 4-weight. This is a 4-piece rod. Now they've discontinued this in a 8.5. It's now 9 foot. Wouldn't bother me. That'd be great. But when this reel and this rod connect on here, this is a very, very, very awesome combination. Don't know why I'm putting this together. I'm not planning on fishing right now. So this is a really good combination. The line, this Cortland long distance belly line, I can tell you right now, there is not a better dry fly line that I've ever used. One false cast backwards and you can shoot and you can bomb line all the way across. Very accurate. I highly recommend this line. All right, so included with my dry fly loadout are all my dry flies. I'll give you a snapshot here. What's in my fly box? Guarantee it that pretty much any hatch that takes place in the UP, you're going to be able to catch it with any of those flies. The fly's in there somewhere. Everything from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Hoppers, you know, your muddler minnows. You guys tell me this isn't, you're not mousing. I take a muddler minnow like that, I fill the head with floatant. That works as my mouse or frog pattern or whatever. It's awesome. Fish it on the surface. Anyways, dry flies. Leader wallet. This has all my leaders in it. I really like the Cortland 12-foot leaders in 4 or 5X. I also carry some level sink line so that I can make sink tips if I need to get down really far on my streamer rod. Now, why do you have so many leaders, Seth? Well, it's because I guide, and guys like to decorate Christmas trees along the river with flies, so they rip through leaders. I carry a lot of them. It works to my advantage when it comes to having gear for my own personal fishing. All right, so moving on to my last setup. I've got my Euro nymph rig, plus if I bring this reel, I can use this with an indicator if I want. Then I've got my dry fly rig. That's pretty much just there. That's not gonna probably get used a lot, this opener. It's gonna hit maybe 60 degrees up here in Iron County. So there's a small chance, but if it's there, if it happens, I'm prepared and I have that at the base camp. The primary way that I am planning on fishing for trout opener this year is going to be streamer fishing. And so the rod that I use for streamer fishing is going to be the Risen Fly 23 PS 9-foot 5-weight. This is a 4-piece rod as well. It's a faster action rod compared to this ITB. The reel that I have it on is a Gideon 5/6 weight in gunmetal. I like that silver color. It goes with the rod real well. And then the line that I have on this is really sweet. This is another favorite of mine for streamer fishing. So if you can see this line right here is green, and then as I start pulling it back, it's gonna turn it into black right there. Now you've got black. I don't know if you can we see that? No, we're not. I'm doing a horrible job with this video. Anyways, this is a green floating running line here. It goes to a black sink 6 at the end for the last 10 feet. This is Cortland's Sink Tip 10, and I love this line. This stuff is amazing. The reason why it's great is because if you're in small streams and you need to bomb short casts, You don't have all the sinking line laying in the water. You have a floating running line. You pick it up the last 10 feet of sinking. You can put it out there. It drops and it gets right into the zone where those fish are as soon as you need it. You just attach your fluorocarbon leader at the end. I usually use about 24 to 36 inches, and that is all. So with the 23 PS 4 piece, 9-foot 5-weight streamer rod, a little bit faster action, good for streamer fishing, and then obviously I have my streamers. If you go back and you watch the streamer video that I did, you're gonna see that I had like Drunken Disorderlies, I had some Dungeons on there, I had the ZH2O streamers, I had some by MFC, I had some streamers that I really, really liked. There's a couple that I'm adding to my list this year, and I've really grown to like them. One of them is called the Baby Ganja, and that is from Umpqua. That is a small articulated fly, almost like a Dungeon, except this is a wool head. This thing sinks. The back end is very, very light, so that kicks around like crazy. Dumbbell eyes, very awesome fly in like a rainbow trout pattern. And then the next one that I absolutely cannot wait to use is another Umpqua fly, and this is called the Baby Swim Coach. That right there. And the reason why I like these flies is because we're still going to be dealing with water temps that are in the high 40s and low 50s. So they're not going to be super, super active yet. I mean, 50s, they like that, right? But mid 40s, high 40s, they might be moving a little bit slower. So these smaller streamers for bigger browns are going to be really good this year for opener. And then last but not least is a streamer that I found last year that I really started liking. I use it is it's called Todd's Wiggle Minnow. It's basically a piece of foam, but it's got a piece a wedged foam right here, and that thing works almost like a Rapala, where it just sits there and it throbs back and forth in the current. So between those three streamers, that's probably what I'm going to be using this year. If I don't get anything right away, I'll be changing it up, using some Drunken Disorderlies and some Dungeons and different things like that. So I think that's it for my loadout. That's my streamer setup, my dry fly setup, my nymphing setup. There's a little bit of crossover. Now, if I was going out and I only had one rod that I could take with me, streamer fishing is probably going to be where it's at this opener. So taking my streamer rod, it'd be a really safe bet. You could take a streamer rod, some sink tip line, or a floating line with a sink tip added onto it and your streamers, and you'd probably be absolutely fine. However, because I've really fallen in love with this Cortland nymph rod, this 10.5-foot rod, it's so light. I mean, that's what I love about it, and it's balanced really well. One of the things that I would consider doing, and I think there's some of you guys might think I'm crazy, but I would actually consider doing this. If I was going out opener and I was going to go somewhere and I couldn't bring all of this gear, what rod would I bring? If I wanted to have the ability to nymph, dry fly fish, and streamer fish, I actually think, correct me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but I actually think that I could use this Cortland 10.5-foot 4-weight. This would definitely throw this 5-weight streamer line. It would definitely throw the 5-weight floating line, and then when I wanted to nymph, I could either have my my rig here with my Euro nymph line, level Euro nymph line, or my floating line. So it's not going to be as accurate casting a dry fly. It's not going to be as accurate casting a streamer because it's at 10.5 feet. It's a little bit more, but you might even get a farther cast, which sometimes is not necessary here in the UP. You don't need to bomb real long casts most times. But if that was the case, I would be really tempted to do it. I would probably do it as an experiment. But I think that would work really well. If you've got any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments. But between the Euro nymph rig, the dry fly rig, and the streamer rig, this is going to be my loadout. And it's going to be at the base camp, where we set up camp, where we're going to camp for, Friday and Saturday night. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you a video like we did last year. If you want to get a refresher on last year's trout opener, we killed it. It's called A Day for the Books, Dark Waters Fly Shop. Thanks for watching this, guys. Please subscribe. If you've got any other requests for video content, I'd love to hear it. I've been getting into the short film stuff. I don't put as many out as usual, like where I'm cutting videos on a regular basis because they take a long time to edit, and I'm glad you guys enjoy those. But as far as the tutorial stuff goes, I think one of the things that I'm going to do for my next video is I'm going to do a what's in my backpack deal, and I'm going to go over what I do for my camping gear. I know this is a fly fishing channel, but I've been doing a lot of backpacking and going out and doing camping gear. And so I might go out and show you guys like the kind of tent I use, the kind of sleeping pad I use, the kind of sleeping bag I use, how I get it out there, and then how I separate my fishing gear from my camping gear and maybe even my camera gear. So average guy, when they go out fishing, they might be just bringing one rig like this. Me, I can't do it. We're going to 4-wheel out. I have the ability to take all this gear, but then I also have all my camera gear and all my camping gear too. So lots of fun, and I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Check out some of the other videos. I guarantee you'll like them. We've got the website up with all of this gear up on the website and then some. This is only like the back half of the fly shop. You can't see everything over there. We did an expansion. I think that's about it, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Take care.